welcome back to my channel. Yes, you are seeing my face. I am going to be starting a home series for you all. I hope this is something that many people will be interested in. I know it's something that I was interested in, and I would kind of watch different empty house tours to see if they were actually doing home series, to just see the process that it took for a lot of people to get into a home, whether they bought a new build or if they bought their own land, or if they already bought like a pre-existing home, how they decorated it. I just love that kind of stuff outside of like full-on budgeting, because not all of these people are actually like budgeting, they're just buying a house. But if you are new to my channel, welcome. My name is Janelle. I do all things budgeting. I also include work week lunches, grocery hauls, and meal prepping. So if that is something that you're interested in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And if you are not new to my channel, welcome back. Thanks for joining me for another video. So this home series is going to be a very interesting home series, because I feel like it's going to be a little bit different from maybe what most people talk about, and it's going to be based on my experience and what exactly I'm going through. So you guys are literally going to be going through the steps that I am going through to potentially purchase our first house. And whether or not we get the house, for some reason something goes wrong and we don't get the house, I still want to share the experience, because I feel like a lot of the times we always hear that they didn't get the house, we don't know what happened. And of course, some people don't have to share that. I mean, not some, but of course you don't have to share that. But sometimes it's good. It helps other people know what to potentially expect, especially if you're a first-time home buyer. You don't know all the ins and outs. You may be working with somebody who also doesn't know the ins and outs, but they know enough to get you through it. And so for me, it's just important to share the information with you guys, share my experience, and maybe help someone else who's thinking about buying a house or in the process of buying a house, and kind of knowing what questions to ask and what to expect and stuff like that. So my home series is going to kind of be split into 3 parts. It's going to be the decision, the process, and the home, and there'll at least be 2 parts to each of them. So I'm going to slightly talk about the decision today in this video, or part of the decision, and then go through the second half in another video, and then we'll get into the process that kind of talks about like pricing and lending and all of that good stuff. And then the home part of it will be you guys seeing my apartment that I'm currently in, which is 598 square feet, and then an empty house tour of the home that we will have eventually purchased, because it's still being built right now. And then maybe some like decorating. I don't know how to decorate, you guys, so don't judge me. But a little bit of decorating, or just like where we decided to do different things and so forth. And then just kind of wrap it up with just like an overall experience, and answering any questions that you guys may have at the end of this series. So the first part, like I said, of this home series is going to be the decision. And in the decision, the most important part is you making the decision on whether or not you want to purchase a home or not. Buying a home is not for everybody. Some people prefer to stay in an apartment their entire lives and don't feel like it's a waste. And sometimes it's not, right? Like buying a home is a lifestyle decision. Some people are buying a home because they plan to have a family soon. They want to be able to have a backyard. They want to have space for their kids to run around, have their own rooms. Some people buy homes because they want to have an investment property. They want to live in it for a couple of years and then maybe rent it out and get some rental income. Some people buy a house because they just hate living in apartments, or they feel like living in an apartment is a waste. They rather just live in a house and pay those expenses and invest in something than to live in somebody else's place. There's just different reasons as to why people buy homes, and that is going to be the first and the most important decision that you're going to have to make, is whether or not you want to buy a home. And for us, since we moved to Texas almost 6 years ago, we've said that we wanted to purchase a home. We just like the idea of having our own space, our own backyard, our own like 2-car garage. Maybe one day we may have kids, and so we want to be able to have room for our kids to grow, run around, just have our own space. And so that was the appeal to us. And we also wanted to be able to invest in something of our own, and maybe thinking maybe down the long run we could keep that home and use it as a rental property. So we're a little bit with a little bit of everything when it comes down to why we want to buy a house. But I think most importantly, it's just about the space and having our own, like our own property, our own home in a sense. So we made that decision quite a while back, but couldn't really fulfill that because you guys, we've been really, really looking for a house for the last 3 years. And it's just been a little bit hard because every time that we would talk to somebody, they would tell us one thing, and then they would say like, hey, don't pay this, your credit score will go up in 6 months. And then we would do that, and then our credit score wouldn't go up. Or they would tell us this, that, and that's why it's so important to speak to several different people before making a decision on a home or a lender or an insurance person or any of that stuff. I won't get too into detail with that until we get into the process, but it is very important because we did kind of give up hope and was just like, we're just going to wait. We're just going to continue to pay off our debt and focus on this situation later on, because it was just a roller coaster for us. And even though we are happy now, we're still like on our P's and Q's because anything could happen. But we are very grateful. So we did make a decision a while back that we did want to purchase a home. So that was not something that was hard for us, and we kind of knew for a while now that we wanted to purchase a house. But we'll also, with purchasing a house, there are also things that you want to consider, and that is also where you want to be able to purchase your house. Is it where you're currently living now? Do you want to live in the suburbs? Do you want to live in the city? Do you want to live in a whole different state, right? And with that, do you care about the weather that you're in? We are from Florida and we moved to Texas, and the weather is just about the same. We still get hurricanes. It's still hot outside, except we don't have nice beaches like Florida does. But those are things to consider, because to me, we've also lived up north, and it's always appealing to go back up there because a lot of my family live up there. But then I think, do I want to wake up in the morning to scrape ice off my car when it's snowing? I don't know. It was fun when I was a kid, but I don't know if it would be fun as an adult. So I think that's also something to consider, and also job-wise as well too, right? Like, is it a possibility that your job may transfer you to another place, or if you decide to get a new job, will you be able to find work wherever you decide to move? So I think those are things that are very important. I moved here because of a job promotion, and we decided to stay because it was very similar to where we lived back home in Florida, and it was also like 100 times cheaper, you guys. So the appeal was here to just stay and grow, and the area that we are living in right now, we're also building in that area as well too, because I love the area. Like I said, if I ever decide to have kids, the schooling system here is awesome for this area. I like the appeal that everything is close because I hate driving places. So like the grocery store is right there, the gas station is there, like the mall or the strips and all of that stuff, they're in close proximity. So I don't have to drive a million miles everywhere to get somewhere. So that was also important. And then we are close to the highway as well, which is also very important because my partner drives about 45 minutes to an hour to work every day. So we didn't want to live super far out to where not only did it take him an hour to kind of get back into like where we live, but then another 15-20 minutes to drive all the way home, if that makes sense. So that was also something that was very important to us when we were thinking about, like, hey, we're gonna stay in this area. How far are we willing to go out of this area? And then what was kind of important in terms of whether we were close to like a freeway, whether we were close to grocery stores or that kind of things. That was kind of our appeal right now. And then lastly, what was important for us is whether or not we were going to build a home or if we were going to buy a pre-existing home. And I'll actually finish this huge conversation in the next video, but we decided to build a home. And there's nothing wrong with buying a pre-existing home. I think pre-existing homes, especially if they were built like in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, they were actually built, to me, a lot more sturdier than these houses that they build in like 2 months. But for me, I am super, super picky. And I just like the appeal of getting something that no one has ever lived in. I am going to be a first-time home buyer, and I don't want to get into a situation where all those certain things passed inspection. Whenever we move in a month later, the water heater's out and now we have to pop up $5,000 to replace a water heater, or the roof is now leaking because the roof is 25 years old. It did pass inspection because nothing was wrong with it, but now some heavy rain came and put a hole in the roof, and now your roof is leaking, and now you need to find $30,000 to replace your roof. That is something that I wanted to avoid my first time around, especially since right now we don't have that much in savings to kind of cover those big ticket items. Maybe in our second home, we can do something that's older if we want to, or if we decide that we want to buy land and build something bigger, then we can do that as well too. But for a first-time home buyer, I used to do real estate. I'd always tell people, I mean, of course it is your preference, but I would always say, like, think about getting a first-time home because all those appliances, everything is brand new. Most of those things are in warranty, and then you can also get like an extra like appliance warranty and stuff like that. So you know the condition of the home the time that you move in. You know if you weren't using the microwave correctly and it broke because of you and not because it broke from the previous people who had the home and it passed an inspection and now you have it but it's really faulty. And I've heard and seen it happen a lot where first-time home buyers are buying a home, it does pass inspection, and then for some reason a couple months down the road they're having to buy like a new stove because something is wrong with the stove, or a lot of the times it's like the AC or electrical work that passed, but then it's no longer working after a couple of months, or even just like a year. Within a year, a lot of those things start to go out and stop working, especially depending on how old the home is. So that was one of my biggest things, is that I needed to buy a new build home, you guys. So I am going to end the first part of making the decision right here, and then I will do my part 2 of making the decision in about a week or 2. So if you guys like this start to the home series, give this video a huge thumbs up. Comment down below if you have any questions or concerns about what we just talked about in the first part of the home decision. And if you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and click that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next one.